Uncharted 4. Some guy on Steam said this was like the greatest game of all time. And my friend said that this game is in the top 3 of his all-time favorites. And it was on sale, so I bought it and here we are. Now in Uncharted 4, we take up the story of Nathan Drake, who has to save his brother from a bloodthirsty cartel while hiding his true objective from his wife. Already a great start. The Steam page lists this game as an action-adventure game, and honestly I would say it's more of a climbing adventure game. Well, not really. It's more of a climbing puzzle game, to be perfectly clear. The game has its fair share of successes. From beautiful set pieces to real-feeling characters, there's a definite and strong draw to grab your attention and keep you engaged. However, it has its share of failures too, and it's those failures that can really rip you out of enjoying the game. If you like this video, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I make new content every week of varying types, but all are related to video games. And if you have something to say, let me know down in the comments. Thanks. Characters. Nathan Drake is the man who carries the game. He's a married man who has a deep history of adventures that I didn't experience and I don't really have any current desire to see for myself. I don't know much about the Uncharted series aside from the title and this game, and Nathan. And Nathan by himself is such a fascinating juxtaposition with the rest of the characters in the game itself. This game is about thievery. The 4 primary characters are Nathan, Sam, Rafe, and Nadine. They are all criminals in a game about stealing. But where Sam and Rafe and Nadine fit the mold of a criminal, Nathan blows that mold out of the water. Nathan is honorable. He doesn't lie for his own benefit and is more concerned for his brother's safety than for the treasure at all. Compared to the other 3 members, who are simply shining examples of morality, Nathan is darn near divine. He still has his faults, particularly when it comes to communicating with his wife and getting too excited with adventure, but the beauty of him as a main character is how he matures in his marriage and his outlook on the treasure hunt throughout the game. He betrays his wife, she finds out.
You lied to me.
He reflects on his actions, they bond, and he is forgiven by her. And then he comes to embody that maturity that his reflection engendered when at the end of the game he is again tempted to pursue a dream that no longer has value and endangers the lives of his team. He's what's called a round character. He changes and he grows. It's what makes him a great main character and is a great introduction into the series. Now Sam Drake is Nathan's brother and he takes the place of this evil angel type character trying to convince Nathan to do the wrong thing. He represents the immature, dreamy, and irresponsible side of Nathan. He is the voice of go, go, go without thinking of the consequences. He is also the primary reason for the entire game. The development of his character is what really makes him a great pseudo-villain. Not that he's there purely for the harm or evil of others, but he's there to trip Nathan up. See, after 15 years in prison, he and Nathan's personalities clash throughout the entire game, and what we find out is only one can win. One will leave an imprint on the other, as brother goes from working with brother to working to save him. Victor Sullivan fills the role of a father figure for Nathan. So apparently, they have worked together before, and for Nathan, an orphan, Sullivan has filled the role of a wise father for him. Sam is the evil angel that tries to trip Nathan up, but Sullivan is the man who does his best to encourage Nathan to make the wise decision. He isn't the good angel, but he sure is a force for good in Nathan's life. I also think that his voice actor was simply magnificent. Great job. Elena is the good angel on Nathan's shoulder. She represents this wise and good path for Nathan to follow. Of course, we see throughout the entire game his failure to choose her over his brother Sam, but in the end, the good angel does triumph. Rather than saying that Sam and Elena are opposites, it's more accurate to see them as both guides towards the same thing, but on different paths. Nathan is stretched between wanting this normal life and living his dream of finding ancient lost history. If Nathan had listened to Sullivan and told his wife that she would have allowed him to go save Sam with her blessing, if not with her help, as we see later in the game. Or as he chose, listen to Sam, who claimed it was better to protect his wife by not telling her the truth and going on the adventure without her knowledge. And it's this fascinating dynamic that we see play out as Nathan learns that his wife is his first teammate and his brother doesn't always have his best interests at heart. Story. And this brings us to the story of the game. The story itself is simply fascinating. It never has a boring moment. You're either learning about some forgotten piece of pirate history or you're finding out something new about Nathan, Sam, Sullivan, or Elena. And to be honest, this game shined where its story is concerned. While I think everyone playing the game knows that this is fiction and not fact, it's exciting to find out what could have happened to Avery's treasure. Exploring historical locations gives you the sense that you really are there and that this really did happen. The thing about history games is that the story writers have to create a sense of the concrete to draw the player into the experience. They had the near impossible task of taking a small part of actual history, creating a fictional conclusion from it, and creating a world with just enough clues and connections to get Nathan to the finish line without stretching the boundaries of belief. It's a tall order, and while there are some places in the game where things are a bit too convenient to be believable, overall the story keeps you thinking that this really could have happened in another timeline. There's no fluff in the story. Sure, they might overuse some of the mechanics to fabricate drama to extend the gameplay, but the story itself is snappy whenever the player is experiencing it. There's no unnecessary arguments or dialogue, or I might argue, flashbacks. When I was in school, I learned that good writing is all about cutting the fluff off of your material. Keep it snappy to keep it interesting, enough to get the point across and no more. This game accomplishes that. Graphics. This game has delivered on its characters and its story, but can it deliver on its graphics? Yes, it does deliver on its graphics. And remember that this game is 7 years old as of right now. For such an old game, it managed to create scenes and vistas that I still have trouble finding in AAA games today. While the story is the main component, making a game believable and immersive, the graphics of the game support that endeavor by removing the need for the player to imagine a more accurate rendition of what they see on the screen. The graphics in this game don't help you feel like you're in Italy or Madagascar. Rather, they kidnap you and force feed you the sensation that you really are 500 feet above a jungle with the sound of an ocean in the background. It's simply amazing. Combat. The combat in this game is frustrating. I don't know quite else how to put it. While the randomized bullet dispersion is annoying, I see that the devs did do it on purpose, so I won't dock them points on that. I will, however, dock them points on everything else. I struggled to stay behind cover or move to cover properly throughout the entire game. Maybe I'm just bad at it, and you feel free to tell me your experience in the comment. However, I would often be in a firefight, look at cover I want to move to, and execute the button to move, and then roll right past the cover and get shot at by 3 guards. I never figured it out, and I never will. I also struggled to understand the melee combat. For me, anytime an enemy got close enough to melee combat, I almost certainly died. I pressed every button to maneuver a melee situation, and it never, even once, worked. The stealth system was fine, the gun damage was fine, but the melee and cover systems I think needed some work. The fights got very predictable, which worked against the game in some cases. Often, just as you were discovering something important or opening a door, like clockwork, enemies would pop up behind you or be waiting just in front of you. I was kind of hoping the devs would try to find ways of making it less predictable, but they never did. Mechanics. The mechanics in this game primarily has to do with the climbing. The climbing was fun for like the first hour of the game, but it quickly became something I dreaded. In the last 2 chapters of the game, it got so bad I was very close to shutting down the game and taking a break just because of the climbing. Now the system of climbing itself is workable. There weren't any parts of the map I couldn't get through. And I have come to understand that Uncharted games are mostly exploration through climbing, but this was excessive. My total gameplay was something like 15 or 16 hours, and a good half of that was just spent climbing. And because of that, I am going to weigh this category heavily. There were times where Nathan would make a jump of 6 or 7 feet, and then in the next 10 minutes refuse to make a similar jump because the devs designed a longer, roundabout path they force you to take. And then, almost as an insult, to me, the player, they throw in this item called the piton, which allows you to climb a surface of wall that doesn't have any handholds. So basically, the devs took a mechanic that was boring and difficult to use and added an item that makes it more complex, is completely arbitrary, and does nothing to relieve the boredom or difficulty. At that point, I'd rather the devs just kept it simple with the handholds. Now, all that said, I loved the rope swing mechanic. That was fun. Swinging from platform to platform, making some amazing jumps. Fantastic mechanic. Should have had more of the rope swing, less of the climbing. The Jeep driving was also very good. One of the best parts in the game is when you are chasing Sam in a Jeep surrounded by a bunch of goons. A lot of video game vehicles feel like they have too little gravity and are top heavy, so they flip and slide easily and unrealistically. The Jeeps in this game feel hefty, like they're real metal with human bodies inside. And the puzzles in this game are a creative and interactive way for the player to think about the pirates that are actually in the game. I think they are amazing and easily one of the best parts of the game. Score. I have 5 categories for this game: characters, story, graphics, combat, and mechanics. I will give each category a score of something out of 10, and this gives us a total score of 7.5 out out of 10. This is a good game, and it doesn't check all the boxes, but it checks the important ones. Uncharted 4 has a story worth telling with timeless characters and graphics that are extraordinary for when this game came out. It falls flat in the combat and the mechanics of the game, but if you take the time to slog it out, the story is definitely worth it. If you're a fan of pirate games or lore, then this is a definite recommendation. If you aren't so much a fan of pirate games and don't like games that can feel sluggish, you might want to wait for a sale or just go all in for what is going to be, I can guarantee, a good story. If you like the video, comment and subscribe. See ya!